Shoot, I had a couple really good ones last weekend that we didn't call because the way the game was playing out. I wanted to call it multiple times. I did bring it up in a group forum. I got voted down a couple times. But yeah, I mean, the better we run the ball, the easier it is to be explosive, right? And so we've been repping our play pass game. Our boot game has been successful here recently because of our run game. So yeah, we have a whole package in there, and we have different people we're moving around to try to find them where they belong. We hit a couple early. We missed one. It was like game 2. We had one down. We just didn't throw it, and so that's a huge part of this this offense, you know. And did we call one last week? I thought we did. We called one early. We ended up checking down. We called another one. We ended up checking down. We had him ready in the third and fourth quarter. It's just the way the game was being played. Like I said, I've called a game where I've called 70 passes, and I've called a game where I've called 70 runs. We were just running the ball at a really high level, and we had a lead, and we just chose not to take that risk.
Tom Kakert, Sports. How would you assess Cade 4 games in terms of what he's doing well, and what you want to see him in terms of growth?
This is going to go against the popular opinion. I actually think last game was one of his best games. Everything is about your feet and timing in a passing game. And it was one of his best games last game. Now I had him I think at 11 to 13. I know you guys probably had him a little higher than that. I know he had 2 drops. We had 2 great reads, great throws. Routes weren't run right. We had a 1 throwaway. I called a bad ball, bad play. He threw it away, which was a good decision. And then we had 1 batted where he was going. It's important for you to look at those things, right? As a quarterback coach, there's sometimes they throw a ball that was about to be picked, and you're happy that it got batted. And then there's times they're going right where they were supposed to go when they were supposed to go there, and it just happened to get batted, right? Because we had a guy open right behind there for a first down, you know. So I was very impressed with his feet. That's what I grade. You know, can you operate this offense on time? That was his issue in week 2. You know, that probably his worst game as far as his footwork goes. Which, when your feet aren't set, you're not an accurate thrower of the ball. So I really thought he played a pretty good game on Saturday. He got us in and out of blocking seams, changed the mic points all the time. He re-racked one from when they slid the front. And so I felt like he did, actually, one of his best games was last weekend. You know, throwing the ball, throwing it where we wanted. A couple of the routes weren't run exactly like they're supposed to be, but I would have thrown it exactly the same place. So that's part of the growing pains, and part of the growing pains and the growing process is that's what I have to grade to make sure that he's going. So I really think he's getting better. He's getting more comfortable. Early on, it was like, you know, hot and cold. I think he struggled a little bit in week 2 with his feet. Better in week 3, and against the defense that had really made every quarterback they've gone against made him look, you know, scared. I thought he did a really good job of getting rid of the ball. I think there was one decision that I would have done something different, you know, that I wish he would have gone somewhere else, and that was his 1 sack that he took. And but other than that, as far as running our offense, the timing of the pass game, all the things that he's in charge of at the line of scrimmage for the run game, I wanted to see it all come along. Obviously, so does everybody else. But I was very happy with last game, you know, as far as grading him as a quarterback coach.
Adam Jacoby, Hawkeye Beacon. Thanks for your time today, first and foremost. You have the nation's leading rusher in the backfield, and by nearly 100 yards. And for as much as you and the rest of the coaches sort of talked about what the offensive identity was going to be this season, we didn't really hear we're going to have the most productive running back in the nation through 4 weeks. When did you realize that you had sort of something special in the backfield with Caleb Johnson in particular?
I think you notice Caleb is a special athlete the moment you meet him. The first time you see him run, the combination of size and speed and balance and physicality is rare, you know. My biggest question for him was just going to be learning how to see the mid-zone run game. And it took a while. You know, he was trying to pick and choose his holes and not just letting the thing develop. There's a certain amount of patience to this run game. And he was determined now. We watched film together. We kind of went through this summer, went through all the spring games, or all the spring runs, and kind of where he aborted mission too early, and when he, you know, the one he ended up, they merged the 3 technique on an inside zone and stopped him. And he had to go out the back door and ended up getting the people in front of him, and he ended up scoring on one. He still missed a couple cuts. You know, I asked him on the field today, and he rattled off the two that I should have held the line. I could have got out the front door, you know. So that part, as soon as I knew, as soon as he could find the holes and understand the vision and the timing of this thing, because the talent is there, right? He's been working hard. He shows up I don't think there's been a day he's on the field that he's not going 100 miles an hour. And so it's fun to watch a guy who's been so focused on learning this system and what to do. Watch him get to where he needs to be. And then there's a point in every play where it's like, okay, you know, now you're gifted. Go do your thing. You know, I got to get him to the right place first. And he definitely has been gifted in that arena and has done some unbelievable things leading our team and turning some runs that should have been, you know, probably tackles for loss and turn them into big plays. And then there's sometimes he's not even touched for 20 yards, you know, and he always gives credit to those linemen and the receivers. The receivers are doing one heck of a job coming in and blocking for him and putting the defense in some tough spots. So it's been fun. Really, ever since he started picking up this run game, I thought we had a pretty good player. We got a couple other good ones in the room too. It's just fun to watch him, you know, kind of put it all together and have success. And he's still working hard and humble, and that's what'll keep him there, you know.
Scott.
Hi, Tim. Scott Dockman with The Athletic. It seems like the passing game is, I kind of call it like an extended feeling out process because of not only your new system, but Cade wasn't there until August. You know, Jacob Gill was
There's like a long list.
Yeah.
They're going to do them alphabetically? Because there's a long range of
injuries,
Yeah.
not on campus, going to prom, hopefully,
Yeah.
all that stuff. You know, how have you been able to work through this, through the first 4 games, and where do you see it kind of going and molding in what direction? And because you talked way in the very beginning about you wanted to make sure you figure out what works best for this offense, not just necessarily what you would want to do.
Yes.
And how close are you to kind of getting the passing game to where you think it can be an asset in this offense?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, after last week, I think we're closer than it looks. Let's put it that way. I mean, I'm a math major. I can look at numbers. But I do think we're getting every single time. I mean, we did a couple things last week that we hadn't done yet, you know, as far as receiver-wise, seeing a coverage, understanding where to sit down. But then we missed a couple, and the couple we missed were big ones. There's one that would have gone a long way. And the quarterback saw it, progressed on time, ripped it in the hole, and there's no one there because we didn't run the route correctly in that coverage, you know. And so that's really a huge emphasis this week because this is a week where we can hopefully bridge that gap faster than other weeks because we got to get everything oiled up every week, you know, for our opponent. But this week there is no opponent, so opponent is us, you know. So we are trying to, you know, speed the curve up as much as humanly possible. And I do think Reese is coming along. I think Jacob's coming along. I do think, you know, watching Dayton and Bowie get involved the last couple weeks has been fun. Caleb's coming along. Caleb's still feeling out some of the timings of some of the routes, you know, and once he does, we know he can make plays, you know. So it's just fun to watch. Everyone's kind of working on themselves, and as the pieces come along, I think we're going to be able to be more explosive as long as we stay on time. That was probably my most important thing. I mean, if you're in the quarterback room, we talk about Kirk Cousins all the time. I loved him. I recruited him. We were his only offer. This is a long time ago. And he's one of my favorites. And he plays the game on time. And there's not a ton flashy about him, but he's a pretty darn good quarterback because he can efficiently run an offense. And so we're getting closer to that point, you know. And so I think it's one of those things you never know how close you are until you keep swinging, and you can't hide from it either. I bluntly say it to the guys all the time, what we need to work on. And we show the film and we watch the Packers do it, the Rams do it, ourselves do it sometimes, and then on Saturday we missed it. Or we run an out route, which happened in the game, and instead of flattening, we kind of fade the out route. We threw it right where we should. Should have been an easy 10-yard gain, and it's an incompletion. Now we're 2nd and 10. You know, so they just got to know we're going to keep calling it. We're going to be aggressive with it, and but you know, hopefully sooner than later. I wish I knew exactly when it was going to click, and probably when it clicks, it's going to go forwards and back. It's going to be one of these. You know, the fun part is in the work. The guys are strong. They know it. They know when their feet are right. They know when their routes are right, and the sooner they acknowledge it, then it normally tends to be fixed really quickly. You know, and our offensive line is doing the same thing. I mean, I know there's times where we're getting our angles right and we're opening up huge holes, but early on in the game, our angles weren't very good. We're too flat on a couple plays. and it's fun to watch them. They're older. They correct things by the second half, you know, and we're not correcting things that fast in the passing game yet. But you know, every single time we have a chance to get out there, I feel like we're getting a little bit better, and that's why looking at the stats, I was excited about the timing of our passing game. And I didn't use it much in the second half because I felt like the game didn't dictate that, even though I really wanted to. But I was actually pretty happy with what we were doing protection-wise, coverage-wise. You know, watching that defense play against other teams, I was interested to see if we could, you know, handle ourselves in a tight pocket because they were big and they were getting after quarterbacks week in and week out, and we made a big emphasis on the timing, and I thought Kate did a really good job. We didn't get the ton of stats with that because we never went back to it because we didn't need to. But I have a lot more confidence after this week than I did after last week, or definitely after Iowa State.